Sorry I'm a bit late getting started tonight, I do apologise. I did put the stream back 5 minutes last week, or 5 minutes the last couple of weeks, because I always end up getting sidetracked with the kids, trying to get them to bed. Right, what is up? Good evening, folks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for waiting around. Sorry we were a couple of minutes late getting started. Let me turn off my screen yellowing. And every time I do that, I'm like, oh my god, my screen looks horrendous. White light, I guess. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Quite a lot of people here tonight, actually. Camille, Matt, Aaron, Dirty Wizard, Mark Jackson, Daniel, Steve, Jim, Robert. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You guys are very loyal. I do really appreciate it. If you get some value out of tonight's video as well, if you can hit that like button, it always does help. Just share this video out to other folk. So, and as always, if I do disappear for like 30 seconds to 1 minute, I am literally just picking my daughter and taking her from her bedroom to my wife's bedroom. So that's probably going to happen in the stream, so just be aware of that. And good evening, Toasty. You are the man. You're the man, Toasty Devil. Thanks for tuning in. DTM here as always. Good evening. Nice. Okay. Loads of people here. Little announcement. The presentation for the painting competition. I still have the rewards right here. In case anyone doesn't trust me that I have the rewards, look, I'll show you them. Brand new Horus Heresy. Blood Angels, maybe you can read it. Can you? Will my camera focus? I don't know if the camera will focus on that. But regardless, Blood Angels, Horus Heresy. We get 2 boxes. These are Chapter Master Ralderons. I opened them up when I announced the painting stream, which was at like 9,000 followers. So to be fair, it's taken me. Well, we gave people like a month to get their stuff painted, and then it's taken me like, I don't know, 3 weeks or something to get all the pictures together. And where we are, I guess, is there were 73 entries that were valid. There's a few entries that I got sent that weren't valid because they didn't do what it said that you needed to do. If you realized that one of your entries was invalid, I guess if you send me another email this week, you could get it. I could revalidate it, but at the moment there's 73 entries. I've got the 3 judges to commit to Saturday night next week. So Saturday night, the live stream where we normally paint, we're going to be looking at all 73 entries. The entries are broken down by members and non-members because I said that one of the models was going to go to members only. So I guess the plan is to go through all 73 entries, and the 3 judges will each pick 5. Some of them will be picked on the best painted, and some of their choices will be picked on, I guess, like, if they think it's a good job, and also just if they like it, right? Because, like, I don't necessarily think that a painting competition where it's just going to go to the best painted person is 2 hit 2 wounds going to win every time, I guess, and he knows he's going to win. But so what's going to happen is we're going to have those 15 entries, and we'll spin some random numbers. We'll do 2 draws, 1 for members and 1 for everybody else. And so hopefully, I mean, technically the person who painted the best model could win, but the idea is that everybody that entered has a chance of winning. So you probably have a better chance of winning if you had the best painted model, but everyone's going to get a chance of winning. We're going to do that next Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Sorry, I think we're going to do it at 9:30 UK time. I guess Evan is in European time, so it's going to be his 10:30. But so 9:30 next Saturday night. So that'll be Saturday let me check the calendar. Saturday the 16th at 9:30. We'll probably be live for a couple hours. I'll have Mark, I'll have Tony, and I'll have Evan from Origin Painting on the channel, and we'll go through all the entries and we'll pick some winners. And I guess these prizes will get sent out kinda probably the week after the prize draw, to be honest. So something like that. Matt Ground says the first one I've been able to catch since the time changes. I don't have to get up in the morning. Fair enough, Matt. Are you in Australia or something? JW says evening, John. How high is the general painting quality you run into 2 events? Events that really it'll vary, dude. Some people take 3 coloured models to events, and some paint to the highest standard. I mean, it really just depends. I mean, some of my painting at events has been, you know, I've got the highest standard models I've ever painted, but I've also got models that I've just bought recently and only have 3 colours on them, so it totally goes both ways. Okay, alright, we're going to start with Slim Hogan's list today. This is the Army List show, and this is what we tend to do. And I guess I'll put up a stream about I'll put up a news post about the paint competition middle of the week, so you guys don't forget. And obviously I did that video on Flash Traders this week, so if anyone's got more suggestions on future videos, please let me know. The Terrax is going to take forever to paint. What would you run in it? In a Terrax drill, there's lots you could run it. Company Champion, Vanguard Veterans, Lightning Claws, Death Company. Those are probably the best things to run in it. Maybe in the Terrax drill, if you're playing Flesh Tearers, you could even run Gabriel Seth. That's a really good thing to put in a Terrax drill. Alright, so Slim Hogan, he sent me this a couple of weeks ago, but he just revised it today. So he says, "Hey John, I hope you're well." Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I've had a couple of changes to my list, which is up for today, so I thought you'd send the one I've been playing. General idea is the list is to have the Death Company Forlorn Fury first turn and have another charge or 2 in turn 2 to keep the pressure on the board presence while allowing the rest of my army time to move into position for turn 3 charges. For secondaries, I'm generally taking a mix of Engage, Stranglehold, Oath, Assassination, Banners, and Retrieve Nakman data. I don't take banners very often unless it's a 6 mission map, I guess. And I have done a few videos on secondaries, so I guess you could watch those. I've taken Dante over the Chapter Master on the bike just because his free Epic Deed strat and the ability to breach, but I'm not 100% sold yet. I mean, his Epic Deed strat, in my opinion, is not good. It's like it's a single attack when he dies, right? I've got the book in front of me. A free Epic Deed. What is the Epic Deed again? I mean, I don't play Dante. Epic Deed. Use a stratagem. So you could Angel Sacrifice for free. You can... That's the only thing you can do, right? From the Blood Angels Codex. I guess in the Space Marine Codex, Epic Deed is probably like only in death does duty end, but I don't know. I don't think a free Epic Deed is worth it on Dante. The amount of time, like, I had a game a few weeks ago where my Chapter Master killed like 600-700 points of enemy models by himself. I don't even think Dante killed 100 points of enemy models by himself. Breachable doesn't really matter to me, honestly. I mean, the bike, anything you can make with Breach, your bike gets 2 more inches, so typically It's not that big a deal to go around things. I'm generally starting everything on the board if there's enough obscuring and play relatively aggressive with a bit of caginess if it's required. I'm trying to finalise this list for my first tournament in 6 weeks' time, so I'm keen to hear what you think to provide some more punch and consistency. Okay, cool. Let's get into it. Good evening, Reziel. Thanks for tuning in. What's up? He gets to attack only if he hasn't yet, says Jim. Yeah, which is a problem, right? Like, if you're taking a character that's just going to die in one round of combat, that's a problem. The bike character, the bike chapter master will never die in a single round of combat, and he'll never die in a single round of combat against even the most nasty things in 40k. I've had a knight with like a flat 6 damage weapon and like 5 attacks go into the bike chapter master, and he doesn't die. So, I don't think that I don't see how people think Dante is ever better than that. But I'm so mean to Dante, says Reziel. Yeah, I mean, I've just had the bike chapter master is one of the best things in our list. Anthony says, love the channel, love what you do, love that you're branching into successor chapters. Please allow me to plug out there and cover Lamenters. For those we cherish, we die in glory. I mean, Lamenters don't have a set chapter tactic though, right? Do they, Anthony? The Nightbringer will kill him, but who cares? I mean, I guess the Nightbringer will kill him. Okay, so there's one model in the game, potentially, that will kill him. Why? Because Nightbringer ignores invulnerable saves, okay? But, I mean, I guess, David, you would really not run him into the Nightbringer if you possibly could, right? Good evening, Mark, and I go Dante because there's no other chapter master in my mind, says Mike. How dare you insult my chapter master, Mike? He is a legend. Anyway, alright, so we've got Battalion Detachment, 9 CP, 1999 points, 1 extra relic. We've got Dante. He is notably not the Warlord, which probably makes sense, because he's just on the table to die. 165 points to die, though, is, I don't like it. Is anyone saltier than... I haven't seen the new Tyrannic Codex, but I imagine it's going to be pretty strong. The rumours that I've heard of that is pretty strong. We got Primaris Chaplain with Soul Warden, which is great, right? 5 up, Feel No Pain and an Aura. Mantra of Strength, Canticle of Hate, Benediction of Fury, Master of Sanctity, Angel's Exemplar, Wise Orator. Okay. My opinion on this Primaris Chaplain on a bike, and I guess different people have different opinions on this, is it's great you can give him this 4 damage weapon. But I think the stronger play actually on this Chaplain probably is Armor Indomitus and Angel Sacrifice and tanking something. I guess maybe you're trying to do that with Dante, so it kind of makes sense. It's probably okay to have both. I'm not a huge fan of Benediction of Fury, to be honest. I just think I prefer my characters to be on the board. I always feel like if they survive an extra turn or two, they'll do more damage than they might have done by having like a 1 more damage weapon for a single turn. So it's just a type of play style. I like to build my characters if I can to survive as much as possible. But then we got the Sangori Priest with the jump pack and the Quake Bolts and the Selfless Healer. So Quake Bolts is an interesting choice. I mean, I guess it makes sense to have Quake Bolts in your list as a good relic or a good special issue war gear, so I got no problem seeing Quake Bolts in there. It would be nice if it was on a Ballistic Skill 2 character, but it is what it is. We have Assault Intercessors, Incursors, and an Infiltrator squad, which is kind of a pretty standard loadout for troops, and a decent loadout. You know, you got one squad that's going to push, you got one squad that's going to forward deploy, you got one squad that's defensive. I guess my question, the reason I scrolled down there was like, do you have a Whirlwind? And you do have a Whirlwind, so my question is like, with a Whirlwind and a regular 5-man squad of, let's say, Incursors, can you screen your backfield well enough, or do you really feel like you need Infiltrators? Because the Whirlwind's got a pretty big footprint, right? Like, if you imagine 9 inches right round a Whirlwind, there's quite, you know, the Whirlwind is obviously going to be in the backfield, probably on an objective. It's probably able to actually zone quite a lot of the map. So I actually think you could probably save 15 points here and just have another squad of Incursors, assuming that this is what the Infiltrators are for, right? Like a defensive deployment to screen out your backfield. If you've got, I mean, it's super safe. I guess a Whirlwind and Infiltrators, like, the enemy are not getting in, period. But you might be able to do just fine with Incursors. I played a tournament, actually, where I did that, and I had a Whirlwind and an Incursor squad in the backfield, and I screened pretty well because it was against that Tempest Scion army, and they had shitloads of stuff deep striking. And the only thing he was able to deep strike into my backfield was the Calidus Assassin, because the Calidus Assassin deploys like D3 plus D6 away, and he got like a 7, and he managed to come in. Or he got like a 4 plus the 3, so he got 7. So the only thing he was able to deep strike into my army, or into my backfield, was a Calidus Assassin, which was a bit of a problem, but you know, you're not seeing many lists where they have the ability to get units within the 9-inch bubble like that. I mean, the Calidus Assassin is kind of an exception to the rule, right? Okay, we've got a Death Company with 5 Thunderhammers, and we've seen this a few times. We've actually seen this in a tournament winning list, and I mean, it's decent if you've got a Chapter Master, or I guess in this case Dante, to give them, and a Priest to like get them an Assault Doctor and get them full rerolls, potentially give them Quake Bolts in turn 1. Like, it's a decent amount of damage the squad gives out. The only downside is there is a map that's going to prevent them. There's a map that's going to prevent them deep striking, and I feel like it's kind of like a trader unit. Like, you're going to lose this unit. It's going to go in, it's going to do damage, and then you're just going to lose the unit. So if you're alright with that, then I guess 190 points is fine. You've got 7 Sanguinary Guard with axes, which is about the minimum size squad for Sanguinary Guard right now, and axes are probably the best choice. You've got a Terminator Assault Squad all with Thunderhammers, and I think that's the wrong choice. As much as it's cool all with Thunderhammers, again, you could save 15 points here. What I would do is give them the Teleport Homer and lose 2 sets of Thunderhammers for Lightning Claws. I think that sometimes when you're in a battle, I think it's different with the Death Company, because you're gonna go very aggressive with them. You're gonna be able to react. You're gonna be able to move around the board quite quickly because they're 12-inch move. I think the problem with Terminators is their 5-inch move, and sometimes Terminators are going to get screened because then they move 5 inches, and they're going to have to fight things that aren't ideal for them to fight against. If you're all Thunderhammers, then you might end up running into, like, I've had it where my Terminators have had to fight squads of Necron warriors. They're obviously 1 wound, and they can have a decent invulnerable save, like a 5-up or something. So having like 2 models in there with Lightning Claws and getting a shitload of Lightning Claw attacks for 1 damage can actually help a lot with the Terminators. So my opinion is 5 Thunderhammers on the Terminators. Like, I don't dislike it, but I think it's the wrong choice. I think it makes the Lightning Claws still get a lot of attacks, right? Because it's 2 Lightning Claws. So on the charge, you're getting 6 Lightning Claw attacks, as opposed to on the charge, I guess you're getting 4 Thunderhammer attacks. So if you come into stuff that's like 1 wound, then you're potentially getting 50% more damage with Lightning Claws. And obviously Lightning Claws aren't -1 to hit, so there's things you can talk about there. We got a Vanguard Veteran Squad, and it's 10 all with Lightning Claws. You know, if I was you and I was doing this and I just saved 30 points for swapping these Infiltrators and swapping these Terminators out, and I think the Teleport Homer and the Terminators is really good as well. That would give you 30 points. That would let you literally put like 2 Thunderhammers into the Vanguard Veteran Squad. Maybe even 3 actually, because it's a 9-point upgrade, 12 against 3 for the Lightning Claws. And I think Vanguard Veterans are very good. But I do like having some 3 damage weapons in the Vanguard Veteran Squad again. I just think it makes them a little bit more versatile in terms of what you end up running them into. You've got Eradicators with the heavy melt rifles, and you've got the Sergeant with the multi-melta. I find the heavy melt rifles are difficult to use. I prefer just the regular melt rifles. Just because I feel like with the heavies, they're great if the enemy comes to you, but if you have to push out and go after enemies, they're a bit more difficult. And then the Whirlwind with the Castellan is the right choice there. I like that. DTM says, I like the Benediction on a Chaplain, assuming you've got the Armor Indomitus plus Mantle on the Chapter Master already. There isn't really a second good defensive item for the Chaplain to take in that case. Yeah, I think... I guess that's how some people run Dante. You're running Dante to get maybe a free Angel Sacrifice, but the problem I think with Dante is he's 165 points, and when you Angel Sacrifice him, he's probably going to die. So at that point, are you paying 1 CP to Angel Sacrifice for a 165 point character to just die? See, on my Chapter Master, with all the nonsense that he has, he usually, like, sometimes he can Angel Sacrifice like twice in a game and then tank a round of Tau shooting. Like, it's just crazy how much better I think he is than Dante. And yeah, I mean, an Infernal Pistol with a reroll hit and wound as well is just so valuable. A Bite Chaplain with Armor Indomitus, Gift and Mantle for 125 of steel can still get the damage to your weapon, or buff a unit with rerolls. Also, Transhuman can be used on can be like using Armor Indomitus the second time. Yeah, do you know what? I don't often take the Chaplain on a bike, but you make a good point about him being available for Transhuman. I think JW says that it keeps the Vanguard veteran squad even more relevant if they're down to a few models. Yeah, so yeah, if you're taking this to a tournament, then let me think for 1 second. 10 Vanguard veterans, 7 Sanguinary Guard, 5 Death Company, 5 Assault Terminators. Yeah, I think I would swap out the Infiltrators for Incursors unless you're convinced that you need the Deep Strike Denial. I think, like I said, Infiltrators and Whirlwind can do that pretty good, considering how many models that actually is. Eradicators, I may run regular Melter Rifles. I think you have to practice the heavy Melter Rifles, but I kind of often find that with the heavy Melter Rifles, they're either not in range, or they're -1 to hit, so at that point, they're no better than the more mobile. Let me close Steam. They're no better than the more mobile regular Melter Rifles. I actually wonder if you did that, could you just run 4 regular guys with? Let me think. Eradicators. I don't run I've only just started running Eradicators, actually. I ran them for the first time, I think in the last 2 weeks I've run them. So they're 45 points. So it would be 180 points. I guess 190 if you wanted to run 4 with a multi-melta. So, if you save 15 points on the Terminators, and you save 15 points on these guys, that's you at 185. So you just need to save 5 more points. Yeah, I don't know where you would save 5 more points, but you could. You could just run 3 guys with the regular Melter Rifle, 4 guys with the regular Melter Rifles. I think I like that more than the heavies. I struggled with the heavies. I played an Orc army, and the heavies were great because Orcs are just going to push into you and come in within half range because they have to charge you, etc. And the heavies were great. And then I think I played against a really mobile army like Sisters or something, and the heavies were just useless. D6+2 is so much better outside Melter range. It is so much better, but I guess the second you move the Eradicators, they're -1 to hit, right, David? So if you actually math it out, -1 to hit, and you can never advance and shoot. So the way I look at it is imagine if a game's 5 turns, right? Imagine in turn 1 you're not in range with the heavies. Imagine in turn 2 and 3 you have to move. And then you've got two rounds at the end where your shooting's pretty good, but you're probably depleted by then because the enemy are going to shoot you a bit. So it's D6+2 is really good on the 24-inch range on the heavies. I do not disagree with that. I actually kind of love D6+2. But unless you're going to have your Chapter Master hang out with them for 2 or 3 turns and give them hits to rerolls, and also you're going to have turns where you're not in range of anything. The second you have 1 turn where your heavies are not in range of anything, then you'd have been better almost just taking regular ones, right? Because even if you roll a 1 on the advanced roll, they can still move 7 inches and shoot. It's something to consider. I'm still not seeing enough Harlequins in this Blood Angels list. I've determined the only way Blood Angels will win nowadays with Codex Creep, just call your clowns in the Blood Angels, says Brent. I think there's a balance slate coming this week. So, yeah, my opinion is the Eradicator squad might be better without the heavies. The Terminator squad could be changed a bit. I don't run the Death Company with all these Thunderhammers, but I mean, if you're going to run a Chapter Master and a Priest and you're going to do this, I think it's great. I do think there's room in this list to run the super great Chapter Master, and I think he's better than this Chaplain. What's this? The chaplain's got Wiserator. What's Angel's Exemplar giving this chaplain? Sorry. Because Angel's Exemplar is when you get 2 Warlord traits, right? Yeah, so Angel's Exemplar is when you get 2 Warlord traits. I didn't see a second Warlord trait, or am I being blind? He's got Wiserator as 1 Warlord trait. Oh, he's got Soul Warden, okay. Yeah, okay, I'm with you. But maybe you could still just run the other chapter master with like Armor Indomitus, Gift of Foresight. Forget about the Feel No Pain. And with a Thunderhammer and an Infernal Pistol, he's still a boss. He's still better than Dante. For anyone wondering, Heavy Metal Rifle does about 11 damage compared to regular meltas, which do 9.33. So decide for yourself what that's worth. Yeah, so if you multiply that by 5, I guess, so assuming that you get 5 turns of shooting, right? And I assume you're meaning a whole squad DTM. So if there's a single turn if there's a single turn that you can't fire your heavy melt rifles, right, because you only have that 5-inch move, then does that not just by default suddenly make the melter rifles better? Okay. Yeah, I still think there's room in this list for the chapter master on the bike. I think he's a big upgrade over Dante. It was a very, very, very long ago video. I did that chapter master on the bike versus Dante, right? Like, it was so long ago. It was I think it was in 2020, right? So like this slideshow, the slides I've got for that, yeah, this is when I was using my old logo and everything. So this was one of my first YouTube videos, or an ancient YouTube video. But like, if you look at Dante and you look at the survivability here, a chapter master on a bike with Angel's Artifice can survive 189 bolt rifle shots. Dante survives 36. That's literally, I mean, I should have just filled in the percent underneath, right? If I bring up a calculator, like 189 divided by 36. All right, so he's 525% more survivable. Against 54 divided by 9 is 600, right? Yeah, 600%. 18 divided by 7.2 is 250% more survivable. And against those crazy plasmas, 13.5 divided by 4.8, 280%. So I mean, like, and this is Angel's Artifice. Since then, I've switched out to Armor Indomitus, which gives you that 1 turn of that 3++, right? So like, this is why I hate Dante. Like, how he's literally like 600% more survivable in some situations. Yes, Dante has -1 to hit, but like, people can still re-roll against Dante. If they've got anything that's got sort of good re-rolls, then -1 to hit doesn't mean dick. You know, even if you don't build them, even if you don't build the chapter master as a tank, you just give him like the Hammer of Baal, he's still like 200% more survivable than Dante. Yeah. I mean, I could do that video again, but a bike chapter master in Mephiston is 305 points. Trading them for a bike chaplain and the Icon of the Angel Sang Priest for 280 opens up the power of our army turn 1. Still get the bonus 25 to spend. Yeah, I mean, Mephiston is annoying that he doesn't have +1 to cast, but yeah, okay. Dante is good. Yeah, he's just not tanky, I guess. And this edition really rewards tankiness, right? I feel like anyone. When is the Horus Heresy box being released? I don't think anyone's got a date for that yet. They certainly. I had a look around when I made the video last week, and I didn't see a date. All right, I'm going to give this some scoring, based on my opinion for Slim. So, he has the 3 troop choices. So something like an 8.5. Anti, in terms of firepower to clear out enemy screens, it's kind of super low. You're kind of looking at the Whirlwind and maybe like the Sanguinary Guard bolters. I'm going to take, say, like a 7. Anti-monster, well, we've got like 4 3 damage weapons here, another 5 Thunder Hammers, another 3 Thunder Hammers, and then the Priest. So we've got about 14 3 damage or more weapons in the list. So in that sense, I guess Dante's got an Infernal Pistol, so say like 15 or more 3 damage weapons, and a lot of Thunder Hammers, and a lot of Lightning Claws, so I don't think we have any problems killing monsters or vehicles. Mobility is generally overall good. It's just going to be your Eradicators and your Terminators that are going to be the problem, I guess, a little bit to an extent, the Assault Intercessors, but we'll say like an 8.5. Maybe that could have been a 9 if you'd included the Teleport Homer. And then Specialization. We've got the Fight Last from the Whirlwind. We've got no Overwatch Denial from the Whirlwind. We don't have any denies, but I guess we do have a decent number of units for actions. We could also Combat Squad, like our Vanguard Veteran Squad, to get even more units for actions. 15 3 damage weapons, 9 CP, and he's got Soul Warden to give an aura of protection against mortal wounds. Hey, Osid, thank you so much for subscribing. So I think Specialization overall is pretty good here. So this is a solid scoring list. The things that I probably don't like about the list are Dante and the Terminator weapon loadouts, the heavy Eradicators, and I wonder if a list like this could benefit from an 85-point squad of Eliminators. And there is a way you could do that, right? Because like Vanguard Veterans are 30 points per model, so if we cut 2 Vanguard Veterans, that would give us like 60 points. Let's say we cut like a Thunder Hammer. I think they're 15 points per model, so we could cut like a Thunder Hammer here. And I guess we already talked about cutting Thunder Hammer off the Assault Squads. Cut a couple of Thunder Hammers. You could probably have like an 85-point squad of Laz Eliminators. And those Laz Eliminators are pretty good because they've got the 1-up save and cover, they're moving around, they can move, shoot, move. They can also be a really good one to give your Quake Bolts to, and you obviously had Quake Bolts here, so you can give them to the Laz Eliminators. The Sergeant will hit on 2s, plus his weapon is an assault weapon, so if you're really at a push, you can move, advance, and shoot the Quake Bolts, and then move again after you've shot. So I think going forward, maybe what would be quite nice for Blood Angels, and it was one of the things that we saw in one of the recent tournament winning lists, was double squads of Laz Fusel Eliminators. Tycho is the best. You gotta love that 1 damage melee. When I was a kid, Tycho was pretty cool. Did anyone buy the re-release? The captain that was I think he was originally like the Tycho model, right? The made-to-order captain. I haven't actually been on the website this weekend, but yeah, over here, made-to-order Space Marine captains. I think I saw in the Discord somebody bought this guy, right? £21 seems a little bit steep for him because he's. I'll be back in just 1 second. Alright, sorry. This captain is just generic. He was used in a bat rep when they named him Tycho, and he got one shot in 1 turn, and that started the legend. Yeah, that's what I heard. How do you put Quake Bolts and Eliminator in Battlescribe, or we do need to remember to do it? You can do it in Battlescribe. I've done it. You have to select there's somewhere you click the stratagem. I think it's Angels Ascendant, isn't it? So I think maybe at the top you pay for Angels Ascendant, and then it'll let you put it onto the sergeant of the squad. But you can definitely do it. It took me a little while to find it. It's not the easiest, but it is there. Okay. So yeah, this is a 42.5, and I think we've kind of covered everything that we could do. But I would just, if you've not played the Chapter Master on a bike, Slim, try him. I urge you to try him. Because once I started playing him, I literally never looked back. Okay, let's get into list 2 for tonight, and this one is by Josh Curtis, who's also a channel member. I do really appreciate you guys that are members. Honestly, John, what have I done? Mephiston is too fragile. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're in a place where codex creep right now is a thing, and most of our characters probably are a bit fragile and a bit overcosted, but I've just been running different things because of the codex creep. I'm going to run something completely different tomorrow on the channel, on the live battle report, so I guess, like, just bear with me. Like, I'm just trying things out at the moment. Someone's asked if I would try a Flesh Tearers list after I made the video on them last week, and I don't think I've got the right models to make a Flesh Tearers army, but maybe in the future we'll get there, right? But yeah, so, I mean, if you want to run Mephiston at the moment, he isn't the greatest, but it is very much up to you. Yeah, so this one is from Josh, and he is a member. Sorry, got just sidetracked. If you ever do want to become a member, there's a button underneath the video that says join, and I do really appreciate everybody who's a member. It is very appreciated. I've actually been wanting to stream that Battle Sector game for like the longest time. Maybe like it's probably came out like a year ago, but my computer is just a pile of crap. So I actually just ordered a new computer maybe like 2 weeks ago. I think I'm going to get it next month. So I'm finally going to have a computer that I can, like, see if I try and render a video on this computer, I literally cannot do anything else. Like, the computer just dies, all the fans go on, and, yeah, it's just so slow. So I'm really, thanks to the channel members. I mean, we just got a new upgrade on the live stream, like, we got a new camera, and we got a new microphone. So everything that everything you guys have given is being pushed back into hopefully producing better content in the future. So it is super appreciated. Okay, Josh Curtis, greetings Blood Angels Commander. I'm a new member, but not new to 40k. I started in 3rd edition as Blood Angels and fell off round about then when I had little ones towards the end of 5th. Now they're all older, I'm back into the game. I'm looking forward to when my little ones get into the game, but welcome back anyway. Josh, I really enjoy your videos, and they've made a world of difference for me building lists, choosing secondaries, and playing the game. I've been doing a bit of experimentation lately, and submit a list for your consideration. Alright, cool. I just finished Battle Sector for the first time. What PC system are you going for, John? It's like, it's good. It's like crazy good. Like, because this, I guess, like, I think I can bring up like how bad this computer is. This computer is an i7 4070, whatever that is. Release date maybe. So like, yeah, this processor came out like literally a decade ago, 1 year away from being a decade ago, and my I think my graphics card, does it even say graphics card in here? No. I'm not. Is it not? How do you even get that up? Is it device manager? I'm not familiar with all this Windows. I think I'm getting Windows 11 on the new one. I mean, I don't even know Windows 10 apparently, but this graphics card is trash as well. And GeForce 970, GTX 970. Yeah, so this graphics card is like 8 years old as well. So yeah, this computer is it's surprised it's still going. Is Mephiston really that squishy? He isn't like toughness +1, wounds +2, 1-up save, and 5 on top of a normal librarian. Yeah, I mean, when you compare Mephiston to a normal librarian, in that librarians normally don't have invulnerable saves, right? You're right, he has toughness 5, he has a 2-up save, he has a 5-up feel no pain, which librarians typically don't have as well. Mephiston has some weaknesses. He gets a 7-inch move too, which is cool. He has a strength 10 sword. It's pretty crazy that his sword is strength 10, but his it only does D3 damage. It kind of makes no sense to me, but and he really struggles that he doesn't have a +1 to cast. He does have Psychic Hood, but he doesn't have a +1 to cast, and he doesn't have like any sort of free reroll to cast as well. So he's kind of in a weird place where like he's kind of combat-y, but he's actually not that survivable because he's got no invulnerable save, and he's kind of casty because he's the Chief Librarian, so he's got 2 casts, 2 denies. He can cast a third one, but also he's got no +1 to cast. So Mephiston's in a weird place. Do not underestimate the humble 970, even if it has the memory issue. I've just bought an entire new computer at this point. We look at a Thousand Suns player. All my characters are toughness 4 with 3 up, 4++. That's it. No toughness 5, no -1 damage, no feels. Mephiston seems like a monster compared to my characters. I mean, I guess that's fair enough to say, right? He's a bit of Reziel says he's a bit of a shadow of his former self in the lore, but even going down at 140 points, I hated him at 155 points, honestly, Reziel. I thought he was way too expensive. At 140 points, I'm okay playing him. I mean, I might even run him at a tournament for 140 points, but I just need to know that, like, any time he casts shit, I need to have CP ready if I need a cast to go off, because he's not reliable. And it's a bit annoying that he is not reliable, you know? But then sometimes saying that, you can pay 1 CP for Psychic Mastery, on a normal librarian, you know, to give him the +1 to cast, and then you need to use CP in a tournament anyway to make sure like your Psychic Fortress goes up or something. So it's not a million miles apart, I guess. And like later in the game where the board starts spreading out and Mephiston can jump in with his wings and he can do a fuckload of damage with his sword, he's not bad, I guess. Okay. So, Chapter Master on a bike on this list. Gift of Foresight, Adamantium Mantle, Infernal Pistol, Armor Indomitus. I think that this character here is like my... Like, I feel like I invented this character. I don't know. I love him. I think he's brilliant. I think if you've never run him, you should try and run him. I used to build PCs many years ago, Dirty Wizard, but I am not really familiar with hardware well enough these days. And yeah, things can't be lore accurate, yeah. But I actually don't think the Thousand Suns Codex is in a bad place. What do you think of the Thousand Suns Codex? Do you think it's weak? I think it's much better than Thousand Suns were like 6 months ago. Okay. How'd you get the Chapter Master of True Relics and Battle Scribe? It keeps giving me an error. Give him the Artisan of War Warlord trait that lets him take a second. It doesn't let him take a relic, it lets him take a special issue war gear, I believe. So you give him Angel's Exemplar, which lets him take that second Warlord trait. You give him Artisan of War, which lets him take the special issue war gear, and the special issue war gear would be your Adamantium Mantle. Okay, Librarian Dreadnought, Unleash Rage, Shield of Sanguinius, Wings of Sanguinius, Chief Librarian, Iron Resolve, Melt-A-Gun, and Hero of the Chapter. Pretty crazy, expensive Librarian Dreadnought to put together. I'm not a huge fan of Librarian. Like, when you compare the Librarian Dreadnought to Mephiston for 140 points, you know, we were all just talking about that in chat. What does Librarian Dreadnought give you over Mephiston? Well, I mean, he gives you... I guess if you've upgraded him to the Chief Librarian, you could have given him Psychic Mastery, but you haven't. You've given him an extra wound and a 6-up Feel No Pain. So he has 9 wounds and a 6-up Shrug. I guess Mephiston has 6 wounds and a 5-up Shrug. He's obviously got better toughness. He's got worse save. He's got 3-up save. He can't be put in cover. He's harder to conceal. You've kind of built him as like an Unleash Rage... shieldy. I mean, it's an okay build. I don't dislike it. I just think it's very expensive at 180 points. And my experience, Librarian Dreadnought is like he can get floored pretty quickly. He can do a lot of damage, but yeah, he can get floored quickly. I'm not sold on Librarian Dreadnought this edition. I've run him a few times. Sometimes he lingers around and he can be great, but sometimes he can get floored a little bit. Thousand Suns is tricky. It's not bad and it can do crazy things, but occasionally it just randomly does nothing. That's what I've seen on the other side of the table, at least. Yeah, I mean, sometimes. Alright, we got the Primus Tech Marine, who has the Soul Warden and the Quake Bolts, and he is the hero of the chapter, obviously. He's paid for the Master of the Forge upgrade as well, so we're always repairing 3, which is cool. I guess the Librarian Dreadnought is a character, so you can use troops and stuff to conceal him, which is good, I guess, right? Assault Intercessors and 2 squads of Incursors, kind of a staple. We then have Elite-wise the Contemptor Dreadnought with the Multi-Melta, Death Company with 3 hammers and a couple of chainswords, which I like more than the last list, just because the last list I felt like the squad was so expensive. Thank you, Zovi 0000000 for subscribing, do appreciate it. Redemptor Dreadnoughts ×2, and Redemptor Dreadnoughts obviously went up 10 points. I feel like if you want to run double Redemptor, my opinion is that you want to run Psychic Mastery, regular Librarian with Psychic Fortress. I think double Redemptor is crying out for Psychic Fortress. I think if you don't have that, it can actually be really detrimental to the Redemptors. Because I hate not getting a save on like Redemptors, for example. You know, like you come up against Drukhari, and they've got like 5 raiders, all with Dark Lances, all with like Trueborn inside, with blasters and Dark Lances. You can just lose your Redemptors in turn 1, and there's nothing you can do about it because the fucking raiders move so fast and just move anywhere they want, basically, and just shoot you. My opinion is if you want to run double Redemptor, you should probably take Psychic Fortress so you can protect them. I think it's important. But let's continue. We then have a Vanguard Veteran Squad with Lightning Claws, Infernal Pistols, Thunder Hammers, and one with a Relic Blade, and a Mastercrafted Relic Blade at that as well. So, interesting Vanguard Veteran Squad. Vanguard Veterans are very useful at the moment. I actually think they're like on a par, maybe even slightly better than Sanguinary Guard, honestly. You're very welcome, Joe. I'm glad you figured it out. Battle Scribe can be a difficult thing to navigate sometimes. Now that I think about it, is there any plan with the Rights of War Warlord trait on one of the characters for this list and the last one? I mean, Rights of War is good for sure. I think adding OBSEC to like really strong units is obviously very useful. My question is about Rights of War, and I've only played, like, you know, what Nakman Data, not Nakman Data, you know, the Nakman book came out. Since the Nakman book came out, I haven't played as many games as I would have liked. I usually play on Monday nights, so one night of the week I can get free, and I want to say there's been about 10 Mondays since the Nakman book came out, and like 3 of them have been scuppered by like COVID. Like, I think someone had COVID. Then I was like, had this crazy migraine, and then no one could play last week. So there's been like a bunch of weeks where I've just not played the new maps enough. But like, because all the new maps have this sort of like, we're calling it the primary plus part, right? Where you get points in your primary for like not holding objectives. How is that affecting OBSEC? Like, that's an actual question that I'm asking you guys, because in some ways, holding objectives and getting the points is obviously like, I guess 2/3 of the value it had before, right? Because out of the 45 points, the most you can get from holding objectives now is 36. So yeah, maybe like 4/5 value, I guess. But you can score more than 9 on the primary plus. You know, I think you can score a maximum of 15 on the primary plus. So, DTM just doesn't think it's worth it in general, but it is interesting, right? That basically 1/3 of your primary points now are basically potentially gained not from holding objectives. So does that weaken Rights of War? I mean, arguably, yeah, it does weaken it, but how much does it weaken it, I guess, is the question. We then have a Venerable Dreadnought with a Multi-Melta, and do you know what? Here's another Dreadnought, and another Dreadnought with no invulnerable save. So in this list, I actually think Firstborn Librarian, in Terminator armor, or with a jump pack, both would be viable. With Might of Heroes and Psychic Fortress, and if he is a Chief Librarian, maybe you can pick Null Zone or Veil of Time or something. But Might of Heroes combos really nicely with these Dreadnoughts as well, because what will happen typically, especially Redemptors will get targeted, they'll go down to a few wounds left, right? So your Tech Marine will heal them up and make them +1 to hit, so it's kind of like they're still hitting on top bracket. But at that point, you can then Might of Heroes onto that Redemptor and put it to toughness 8, which makes it just that much more difficult for your enemy to kill it next turn. And if you do that, then what am I trying to say? If you do that, I just think it's more valuable than the Librarian Dreadnought, who is essentially a bit of a beat stick. I mean, it's cool to run characters as beat sticks, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't think this edition is the edition of beat stick characters. Characters for me used to be all about like hitting people in the face with Thunderhammers. Now it's more about surviving and buffing your troops, I think. Custodes are top of the meta. Rites of War is very good against them. Yeah, I mean, Rites of War, I guess, would have its use against certain armies, that's for sure. What do you think of the new Maelstrom of War cards? So one of the guys has bought the Maelstrom of War cards. So, I mean, we potentially will have a game on stream in the near week, or the coming weeks with the Maelstrom of War cards once we've had a look at them. I think it's cool. I think it will vary up the game a bit, but as someone who's like super into the competitive side of things, I'll probably still play at least 50% of my games on the actual competitive missions with pre-picked secondaries and stuff. I'm thinking a Librarian with Rites of War to give the Redemptors or 3 to give a Redemptor or 3 OBSEC, because in my experience more Warlord traits for Librarians aren't that good, but iffy. The Warlord trait you need on the Librarian is Psychic Mastery, honestly. Give you +1 to cast, and it does help a lot. We then have a Whirlwind with the Castellan Launcher, we have a Landspeeder Storm. I guess unfortunately we get nothing going in the Storm, but we have the Storm nonetheless. Harlequins are top of the meta. Yeah, they are. Harlequins are probably going to get nerfed tomorrow or whatever day this week. Stephen thinks Rites of War is a trait that goes used the entire game, goes useless for the entire game more often than not. Okay, so the objective is throw a lot of dreads into the mix and be aggressive. I mean, I like that. It's high risk reward for sure. I mean, I'd make it lower risk by taking the Librarian, the Firstborn Librarian or Terminator Librarian with Psychic Fortress and Psychic Mastery and Might of Heroes. That would make it a lot less risk. And I ran that at a tournament and it did really, really well. I like to try and use Librarian Dreads, which is a cool model. Yeah, okay. I mean, he is a cool model. I don't disagree with that. I just think he's more of a beat stick, and I don't know if there's enough. I don't think there's as much space for beat sticks like that. I do find I often toy around with taking it out for the Jump Pack Librarian with Psychic Fortress, Nulls, and Mighty Heroes, and taking out a Venerable for more balance to run a Terminator Assault Squad. But I'm really trying to stick to the spirit of more dreads. Venerable is there for a potential reserve Ballistic Skill 2, also told with the idea of going Relic Contemptor to squeeze in a Chain Fist, but CP is getting scarce. Alright, curious your thoughts. We'll run this at an RTT this weekend, so we'll update on how it goes before you get to this. Shit. I don't know if he did send me an update. Give me 1 second to check. Okay. How to check comment? Custodes are still absolutely everywhere competitively. Yes, we get clapped by Custodes, so you have Rites of War, Visage of Death. It can be very handy with some bodyguard jank. Yeah, I think Custodes just probably have too many ways to counter us, right? Josh, let me see if he did send me an update. Maybe I need to search his last name. Apparently, there's a lot. Josh Curtis. He didn't get back to me. Okay. He sent this 12 days ago, so I guess he ran it into that GT. Okay. Alright, cool. So, looking at the list, I feel the same way. I would have a Librarian with Psychic Fortress, Null Zone, Mighty Heroes. You've got 2 Redemptors, and them alone are going to benefit from that hugely. And I guess the Venerable Dreadnought as well. I mean, in the moment, you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's like 17 3 damage or more weapons in this list, which is totally fine. Like, more than we would ever need. Yeah, who doesn't? I mean, everybody's clapping us a little bit. Good evening, Highland Phoenix. How you doing? So 17 3 damage weapons. 5 dreadnoughts. So it's kind of a slower list, but it's a tanky list. We got the one small squad of Death Company, we got the one squad of Vanguard Veterans, and I think you're putting quite a lot of pressure on those 2 squads to perform. You got the Tech Marine to keep some of the Dreads alive, you got the Chapter Master, I guess, who can join wherever is needed, you got Landspeeder Storm potentially for, like, engage on all fronts or something. And then, I guess you've got the Librarian Dreadnought jumping in to do damage. Okay, I mean, especially with Tau at the moment as well, and Tau have ways to turn off invulnerable saves. Maybe I mean, I'm not running the Jump Pack Librarian with Psychic Fortress, Null Zone, Mighty Heroes anymore probably because of Tau, to be honest. Or even because of Custodes and those stupid jet bikes, right? I hope those jet bikes, the Savlo launchers, go up at least like 10 points. I just think that the Librarian Dreadnought, the second he gets into the enemy models, he's just going to get killed. Like, he's not that survivable. Even if you get Shield of Sanguinius up on him. Yeah. I mean, maybe he can do a bit of work. All your other Dreads are fine. I mean, Redemptors are decent. Maybe 10 points too expensive. They didn't need to go up in points for Blood Angels. The Venerable with Multi-Melt is fine. A Contemptor with Multi-Melt is fine. Both obviously pretty good in combat. Speed might be a little bit issue. Your troop choices are decent. You've got the Whirlwind in there as well. I mean, Whirlwind is slightly less important when you've got all these Dreadnoughts and you can probably tank some Overwatch, but yeah, I mean, it's not a horrible list. It's close, I think. It's a fun list with all the Dreadnoughts and the Tech Marine for sure. I think it would cause some hurt on some people. My main thing my main thing would have to be, like, play this Librarian Dreadnought a bunch of times and figure out if he's worth it. You know, like, what's more worth it? What's giving both your Redemptors a 5-up invulnerable save, making whichever one they target and weaken toughness 8 so you can keep it alive for another turn, obviously being repaired or whatnot. Potentially have, like, your Venerable Dreadnought also get that invulnerable save. Potentially the Null Zone can be very, very useful when you need it. And I mean, the Librarian Dreadnought has problems in that himself. I mean, Unleash Rage is a good pick if you have, like, big jump units and you've got one, maybe. Unleash Rage on the Death Company is going to get you a couple of extra attacks. On the Vanguard Veterans, it's probably going to get you like 5 or 6. So it's not terrible, but, like, yeah, I'm not sure. I want to like Librarian Dreadnought. I have one. I've got him painted. I do think Iron Resolve is the right Warlord trait to take on him, to put him on 9 wounds and a 6-up Feel No Pain, because I think that makes him as survivable as he can be. Did GW say if Crusher Stampede was nerfed? They didn't quite say. JW says Tau vaporize him, Custodes kill him, Harley's looking in his general directions. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things kill Librarian Dreadnought, so it's and I mean, that's probably why I like Mephiston with, like, Blood. I play Mephiston with Unleash Rage, Blood Boil, and Wings. So I play him as, like, he's going to buff people for a couple of turns, he's going to try and tactically deal mortal wounds with Blood Boil, because Blood Boil is a little bit different from Smite, right? You don't need to pick the closest target, you can just pick a target that's visible with an 18 on Blood Boil. Yeah, so you just pick one enemy unit with an 18. So like, my Mephiston will be, he'll be in cover, he'll be unleashing rage on like some of the jump units to give those cores exploding 6s. He'll be blood boiling some enemies to try and, like I said, do some mortal wounds. Can be useful against like the Nightbringers or anything like that that might end up on the battlefield. And then late in the game, like turn 3, 4, and 5, maybe he's going to jump around a little bit with wings and try and get stuck in, but like typically he's not going to go too aggressive too early. And I kind of think that's probably what you're gonna end up wanting to go aggressive in the Librarian Dreadnought, and like there's just so many things that will kill him. I'd rather push up the board slowly and surely with everything inside the 5-up bubble and try and make that work, I think. I want to like the Librarian Dreadnought, I really do. I think I guess he feels like he has to be played a bit more defensively, maybe than you know, like I guess if you pick wings and quickening on Mephiston and you jump Mephiston in early in the game, he's just dead. And I feel like, I mean, maybe that's why people complain Mephiston isn't good. And I tried playing him a bunch of times like that, and he just dies. So yeah, the thing that makes me think is like, you're paying 180 points for like an Unleash Rage for a couple of turns and maybe a shield on one Dreadnought, but that's too difficult to use effectively, right? Like if you're gonna try and shield the Dreadnoughts, you have to shield all of them. Highland says we could get a couple of land speeders in. I mean, maybe dropping one of these Venerable Dreadnoughts for a couple of land speeders and multi-metas, that might not be a bad shout either, because they can definitely come in from the side of the board and snipe things with those multi-metas, and that could help with engaging all fronts. I imagine the rumours that I've heard from the Tyranid Codex is like it's going to be another very, very, very strong codex. Like, yeah, just strong AF, I guess. But overall, I mean, the list is kind of solid. I kind of like pushing into Dreadnoughts. I don't think it's a bad shout. It's kind of different from your standard Blood Angels. It might be nice to replace, like, I mean, maybe you could keep the Librarian Dreadnought if you replace, like, one of the Redemptors with a Relic Contemptor, so that you only have, like, one unit that doesn't have an invulnerable save, really. Yeah, I mean, if you replace that with 2 Land Speeders with multi-metas, replace one of the Redemptors with, like, a Relic Contemptor with, like, a Cyclone missile launcher, Volkite Cannon, and, like, a Claw or a Fist or something, then I could be actually on okay, because you're like, right, I'm going to Shield of Sanguinius on the one Redemptor, and I'm going to Unleash Rage on the Death Company in turn 1, and turn 2 I'm going to Unleash Rage on the Vanguard Veterans, and then turn 3 I'm going to look at getting stuck in with wings. Then I'm feeling a bit more confident about it. So let's do a little bit of scoring on this list, and we have, I think maybe the same 8.5 for troops. Anti-Horde, infantry, vehicle stuff in this list. Well, I mean, this list is a lot better than the last one in that we've got 2 Redemptors with Onslaughts, Stormbolters, Gatling Cannons. We've got the Whirlwind there. I guess we've got another Dreadnought with a Stormbolter. We've got a Contemptor Dreadnought. I think the standard one comes with a Stormbolter. So we've definitely got more. And then the Librarian Dreadnought, I guess, doesn't. But we've definitely got like a lot more anti-infantry firepower. So we could kill like some Horde-based stuff pretty easy. I guess like those Redemptors would get like around 12 or 13 shots, I guess, against Horde-based lists. We also had like a load of 3 damage weapons. I think it was 15. So I think we're going to say the same, 9.5. If we get into combat, we'll kill things. Redemptors are very good in combat. And I guess you could have more Landspeeder Storms, but I actually like just regular Landspeeders than multi-metas. I think there's no fast attack in this list, so he's got the slots. Mobility-wise is going to be less because it's all about Dreadnoughts. It's quite a bit less. And then we can turn off Overwatch, we can fight last. We've got 2 denies from the Chief Librarian. We've got a decent number of units for action, slightly less. I guess we've got 5, but It's okay. 15 3 damage weapons. How many CP did this list start with? 7, so that's kind of okay. And we do have Soul Warden in here as well, so we do have some protection against mortals. So I think overall the specialization is maybe a 9 as well. I think maybe Slim's list should have been an 8.5 because I think this is a little bit stronger, but I think this is a 9. So yeah, I think something like that. But you know what, I'm going to leave them the same. So 42.5 on both these lists. I think they're pretty similar. Thanks for tuning in, JW. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. And good evening, Foz. No worries that you missed the stream. We stream every day. If you miss one, it's... Well, not every day, but we stream quite a lot. Highland Phoenix thinks we could switch one of the Dreadnoughts for a unit of Sanguinary Guard. I mean, I guess he wanted to consciously push into Dreadnoughts, which is fine. I think if you run Redemptors, it's a weird one because I just said you kind of need to take that Relic Contemptor to make the strategy work. But I do think Redemptors work better in pairs because the main cannon being D6 shots kind of sucks, I guess, right? In terms of like if you roll badly, or you roll one shot in the plasma cannon. So I feel like you want the redundancy of running Redemptors in pairs. I guess there's a lot to digest, but yeah, Josh, hit me a message back on how you did in your GT. I'm going to message you on... I'll message you back on... whatever you call it, the community tab of YouTube. And you can let me know how you get on. 2d3 would be way better. You're right, in some ways that's why Leviathan Dreadnought's Grav Flux Bombard is pretty good, right? Because it's basically the same weapon as the plasma. I think it's flat 3 against... It's got some weird caveat where like the enemies have to have a 3-up save or something for it to be flat 3. But the Grav Flux Bombard is heavy 2d3, 1 less strength. I think it's 1 less AP. 2 damage, so you never have to fire on high power essentially, but each time this weapon is allocated model with a save of 3 or better, the attack does 3 damage. So in some ways I just think that the Grav Flux, like, I think a lot of weapons that are heavy D6 should probably just be normalized to heavy 2d3 because essentially it's kind of the same number of shots, but you're just removing some of the randomness that makes them really difficult to play. Okay, Brian Lemas is our final list for today, so let's get into that. And yeah, thanks for the submission, Josh. I hope I said something helpful. When you're coming back after a long break, though, that list certainly didn't seem too bad at all. Cool. Okay, Brian says, good afternoon. Once again, I wanted to say thank you for all you do for the community you've created. Here's my army list that won 3rd place at a local RTT. And, okay, put in RTT as well. Cool. Maybe we'll check it out then. 1990 points, 9 CP. We have Primarch Chaplain on the bike. So this is before the points increase, because this guy would be 150 points now. Artisan of War, Mantle of Strength, Adamantium Mantle, and he took Visage of Death. Interesting. So -1 to hit, and also remove Obsec. Blast becomes a problem since D6 with Blast is 3 to 6 shots. And 2d3 is always 6 shots. No, it doesn't work like that. That's why I run 2 times Heavy Plasma Cannon, Cyclone Contemptor, and Ballista. It's more reliable. 2 plus 2d3 anti-tank compared to d6. Yeah, I mean, it's better. Blast, if your weapon is 2d3, and it's Blast, and you're shooting against 6 targets, it's still the same minimum of 3 to 6. It's not per dice, it's for the whole thing, right? Should we also just remember that it's not per dice, even though it would be, if it was one thing it would be 3, it's not. Yeah, you have to do it for like the whole model or the whole gun. Then we have the Sanguinary Priest with the Icon of the Angel and the Jump Plaque, and he is a selfless healer. Okay, 2 squads of Assault Intercessors and 1 squad of Incursors. I don't like this. I think you need the 2 Phobos squads. If you want to be taking Nachman data, then you want the 2 Phobos squads. We then have 3 5-man units of Blade Guard veterans. This is pretty much the exact list that was on Tabletop Titans this week. The guy had 14 Blade Guard veterans. So we got 15 Blade Guard veterans here. And I guess the reason Blade Guard veterans is common right now is the same reason that I'm running Terminators, right? Is that like you want 3 wound Marines that have like a really good invulnerable save and can just stick around and hang and fight and stay survivable, combined with the fact that you can bring them back alive at 35 points per model. It's very good, I guess. Yeah, it's just very good, isn't it? So it's slow, obviously, but 15 Blade Guard veterans. Maybe there's gonna be some transports for them, but there's not. We then have 2 company veterans with chainswords and bolt guns. We have 7 Sanguinary Guard, all axes, 1 Infernal Pistol, which is nice. We have 5 Vanguard veterans with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields. We have 2 bikes with multi-metas, and then we have another 2 bikes with multi-metas. The Blood Angels Tabletop Titan army looks amazing. Whoever painted them really nails it. Yeah, I don't know. In the lore, it says that in the lore of the Space Marine book, and you guys know I'm not huge into lore, but in the lore of the Space Marine book, it said that Blade Guard veterans are part of the first company. And I was like, well, in Blood Angels, we have the Sanguinary Guard, who are also like, they're not part of the first company, but they're kind of up there as like the elite veterans. So I like golden Blade Guard veterans. I know some people didn't. There's probably a lot in the painting competition where we've got red Blade Guard veterans, but I like them gold, man. Painting that many Blade Guard Blade Guard veterans alone is a holy hell, haha. Yeah, I painted 5. I've got 2 more that are like half painted, and yeah, it's a lot. Alright, we got 1 squad of suppressors and we got a whirlwind. Interesting, so this took 3rd place in our tournament. So its fire support was literally 2 bikes, multi-metals on both, or 4 bikes, 2 squads of 2. Squad of suppressors and the whirlwind, and then tons of Blade Guard veterans, 15 Blade Guard veterans, holy crap, never seen that many, and 2 jump units. The company veterans, I guess, possibly to protect the priest or something, or maybe they're to help with, maybe because it was probably because this list was submitted like a month ago before the points cost or the Nachman book. They were probably used to do like Nachman data or something, so that's maybe not as relevant now. You painted 16 Blade Guard veterans. Good for you, man. That's a flex. Blood Angels are mainly red. Yeah, I mean Blood Angels are mainly red. We tend to do different helmets, right? Veterans get gold helmets. Heavy support get blue. Frontline get yellow, and I guess regular battle line get like red, I guess. But there is a page in the codex about Blood Angels helmets, and I've kind of tried to stick with it, but I mean, people do their own thing. Battle line is red, close support is yellow, fire support is blue, veteran is gold, and I guess command is gold. And yeah, I think I mean, technically, I guess Sanguinary Guard are our only golden unit, but like, I think that's a great thing about painting Blood Angels. And I did it with one of my Redemptors, right? I painted one of my Redemptor's Death Company colours, even though Redemptors can't join the Death Company. I just see Blood Angels as red, black, and gold. And so you just go to town with whatever you do. Slim's in the chat. Thank you for reviewing my list today, John. It was early in the morning meeting, so I'll go back and watch it shortly. No problem, Slim. I hope it gives you some food for thought. Matt's been putting off painting 3 Blade Guard veterans because they're so detailed. Yeah, I mean, I was painting more Terminators last night. God, I'll be painting Terminators for like another 2 months at this point. It's never ending. Okay, so this list, I prefer having 2 squads of Incursors. I don't know how I feel about 3 squads of Blade Guard veterans. I mean, maybe you could reserve one of the squads along with like a squad of Assault Intercessors. Costs you a couple of CP. He does have 9. You know what? You could actually reserve a squad of assault intercessors, a squad of blade guard veterans, and a squad of attack bikes for 2 CP. And I like that because the attack bikes can come in within half range to get the extra damage of the multi-meltas. The blade guard veterans could come in and obviously charge and kill stuff, and the assault marines could come in and charge and either flip like a primary because of obsec, or they could come in and do some sort of like Nakban data or something in an action, right? Okay. I dislike the lack of 3 damage weapons. We get the 4 multi-meltas, we get an infernal pistol, and another one that gives us 6. Then obviously the Blade Guards veterans offer nothing, neither do the assault intercessors and cursors. So it's really just down to the chaplain, and yeah, so you only have 7 3 damage weapons in this list. So I think that's a huge problem. I don't think we have enough lightning claws to make up for it. We've got some lightning claws, but probably not enough. And into certain armies, these Blade Guard veterans are pretty ineffective now. Into some of the new Orc stuff, where it's all toughness 6, or into some of the new Tau stuff, where it's all toughness 6. Swords, and I guess, like, that's probably why everyone says axes are better now for Sanguinary Guard. Usually with the swords, you're not wounding as effectively, and you're not getting the most out of their AP anymore because of the amount of invulnerable saves that are in the meta. I personally don't like 15 Blade Guard veterans. I mean, I've even dropped any of them from my list. I see a situation where, like, you could run a 3-man Blade Guard veteran squad as like a really defensive squad that can like hold the backfield, can be in cover and can't be shifted. Kind of like how what are the regular troops for Custodes called? Custodian Guard, I think. Kind of similar to them, I think is really good. But I don't know if I feel like going offensive with Blade Guard veterans is the right call. But I mean, here's a 3rd place finish with them. I think we saw, was it like a couple of weeks back, we saw a 6th place finish with like a shitload of Blade Guard. So I guess Blade Guard will work into some enemy armies, probably, because it's just a shitload of 3-wound Marines with a 2-up, 4-up, and it's difficult for people to shift those. And sometimes they can be resurrected with a priest, and that's good as well. But, like, do I love them? No, personally. But I guess there's enough things in my meta that are -1 damage. Rizal said Blade Guard veterans should not be your assault brick. They should be a defending counter unit for stopping stabs into your territory. Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more, Rizal. Alright, let me do some scoring on this list, because I'm going to find it very hard to score. Because I'm not the hugest fan, right? So we've got I'd say 8 for the troop choices. I would have liked to see the 2nd Phobos unit. I think it's really important. Shooting wise, we got a couple of attack bikes ×2. We got suppressors, we got the whirlwind, and then I guess we got pistols on 15 Blade Guard. We'll say it's a tiny little bit better than the last one, but not much. Killing some of the big enemies here is going to be a problem, I think, because we have a lot of 2 damage weaponry. If you run into something that is -1 damage, and speaking of something that's -1 damage, I'm playing Death Guard tomorrow, and Colin is bringing Mortarion. So, DTM, you're like our maths expert in the chat. How much damage do 5 Blade Guard veterans do into Mortarion? I would guess it's not much, because they'd only be hitting on 3s. Blade Guard get 4 attacks, so 1 for charging, so you'd get 21 attacks, hitting on 3s, so you make about 15 hits. You're only going to wound Mortarion on 5s, I think, because he's toughness 8. So you're going to end up with 5 hits. Mortarion is going to save that on a 4-up, so it's going to be 2.5 hits. They're -1 damage, so that's 2.5 wounds. He's got a 5-up shrug, so he's probably going to save 1. So I'd say 5 Blade Guard veterans into Mortarion is going to do about 1.5 damage, something like that. Oh, 1.556 damage. How close was I, yeah? Right? So like, yeah, that's why there's a point where blade guards are just gonna suck. Wounding on 4s. Oh yeah, sure, they would wound on 4s. Sorry, they wouldn't be wounding on 5s because of our +1 to wound, right? Yeah, but still, it's going to be pretty low value, I think. Okay, so yeah, I guess yeah. So I think 8 for killing monsters and vehicles. There's not enough 3 damage weapons, and we've just said Blade Guard veterans are kind of shitty. The correct number is they'll do 2.3 damage. In my local meta, there isn't that much -1 damage, but it makes me double think if I want to run my favorite Golden Boys. In my local meta, the things I've played against is a couple of weeks ago we played against those Wraiths from the Eldar. They're all -1 damage. I'll also play Colin pretty regularly, like once a month. He plays Death Guard. He's -1 damage. I've played against Custode Dreadnoughts, Telemons, Achilles, Galatuses. They're all fucking horrendous to kill. They're all -1 damage, toughness 7 and 8, and they all have like a 6-up shrug as well, and they can turn off all your rerolls against them. They're horrendous. Trying to think what else is -1 damage. Oh, I play against Orcs. Brett plays Orcs. They're Ramshackle. They're all -1 damage unless you're hitting them with strength 8 or above, so they're just Sanguinary Guard or useful. So, good night, Reziel. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, DTM, you're so handy here, considering you're not a Blood Angels player. I really do appreciate you watching all the streams. So yeah, -1 damage, just it's so horrible. It's that Sanguinary Guard with the amount of -1 damage in the meta are not 32 points per model. If you look at like Howling Banshees, because I said to Kev when we played like a few weeks ago, I was like, wow, Banshees are pretty good for the points, and he was like, oh, they're expensive. I was like, are they really that expensive? You know, like Banshees are moving 8, they're 15 points per model. They have like this unit can be chosen to advance even if it charged, or charged even if it advanced, yeah. If this unit advanced, you can choose to charge within 15 inches, because you get to add +3 to your charge roll. Pretty good. If this unit contains Howling Banshee X-Search when resolving attacks, melee weapon, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So, the Banshee Mask as well, you can't fire Overwatch against them, which was one of the other things that was really nice. And I think there wasn't there a stratagem that they get? I thought there was like... I thought there was a... Could I be wrong here? I thought there was a -1 to hit them. Is it maybe just Lightning Flash Reflexes? Oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, sorry. If this unit contains a Howling Banshee excerpt when resolving an attack made by a melee weapon against this unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll, yeah. So you could subtract 1 from the hit roll, but you could also... You can essentially subtract 2 from the hit roll if you use Lightning Flash Reflexes. So even if the enemy has +1 to hit, you can still make them -1 to hit you. And they're less than half the points cost of Sanguinary Guard. Yes, they have 1 less wound, I suppose, except the Sergeant has the same number of wounds. And yes, they have a slightly crapper save, but like having a 2 damage weapon at the moment, I'd say isn't that brilliant, right? Because like a lot of things are just going to be like, well, it's -1 damage, so you're paying points for a weapon. Like if they made Sanguinary Guard swords and axes D3, how would that feel, right? Oh, Battlescribe probably hasn't been updated. They're 18 points per model now, says DTM. Yeah, I think Kev said they were 18 points per model, but still. I think I would, like, if Sanguinary Guard had, like, 1 wound and a 1 damage weapon, and you're paying half the points for them, and you had all that nonsense where they're, like, they're -1 to hit both in shooting and in combat. They can't be overwatched. They can advance and charge. Uh, did it open an old page? Unless this was cached on my computer. No, I don't know. I don't know how it's opening that. I don't know. Reverting back to D3 for the swords and axes might. It might. Well, it would be 33% more. If you reverted back to D3 against -1 damage enemies, it's a 33% increase in damage. Because if you think about it, like a 1 and 2 still causes 1 damage, a 3 and 4 still causes 1 damage, and a 5 and 6 causes an extra 2 damage, right? A year ago, Bladeguard Veteran were maybe the best unit, S tier for sure. Now they're arguably A, but I rarely ever take them. Yeah, do you know what? Art of War said they were like an S tier in their tier list video just a few weeks ago, or maybe even just a few days ago, actually. And I don't think they're S tier. Maybe they're high A, but in the local meta that I play, would you guys be okay with 32 points to the -1 hit also worked in ranged attacks? I actually think that -1 hit should be reworked DTM. And there's two solutions I think would work well with the Hangry Guard. I would either give them a 5-up invuln, because they're wearing Artificer armor, and the lore usually says Artificer armor is a 5-up invuln, right? Like it's a 2-up, 5-up, it's basically Terminator armor. Or the other thing I would do, I think the thing that I would be more happy with, I think that would make the Sangre Guard really good, is just give them a 1-up save. Like, don't give them an invulnerable save, don't give them -1 to hit, just give them a 1-up save. So, like, against, like, -1 shit, they're still saving on 2s, but when you start hitting them with -3 and -4, which is always what kills Sangre Guard, I always end up having to, like, make saves on 6s for the Sangre Guard, because they get hit with, like, fucking, what are those, Sisters of Battle, oh god, the flying ones with a power sword with Bloody Rose, so they're -4 on their power swords. So you always end up trying to save on 6s. And it's like, these guys are supposed to be in like the strongest, best golden armor that we have, and we're only saving on 6s. So I think Sangre Guard are in a weird spot. At this point, because they've been so bad for so long now, I kind of just want them to be bad for this edition, and Games Workshop maybe actually sit up and take notice next edition. Thanks for hanging out, Mark. I appreciate it. Good night. And White Scars are really good because they have +1 damage and advanced in charge. Yeah, I mean, White Scars, when the White Scars Codex come out, it might actually be worth people like having a look at the White Scars Codex and buying it, just because like we run all the same units possibly, and if their Codex is coming out now and it's essentially a 9th edition Codex, it could be really strong. Mobility wise in this list, then, I mean, the mobility is overall pretty great, except probably the Blade Guard and the missing Phobos unit. So we'll say it's like a 7.5, I think. And then specialization. So we've got Fight Last, we've got Overwatch Denial, we've got enough units for actions, and arguably some of those Blade Guard will do actions as they slowly plod across the board. Or ignore -1 AP so people don't freak out about maybe that would be a better one. Just like remove the -1 to hit. Just every time Sangre Guard take a save, reduce the AP by 1. I mean, that would make it great. That would give their masks something really useful, I think, because too often -1 to hit doesn't actually matter, because too often it's like characters in there killing. It's like people will use their strongest units in the game to kill Sangre Guard because they know Sangre Guard are deadly and they'll jump around and stuff. So if people are using their strongest units in the game, they're arguably, even with -1, going to hit on 3s. Most of the time they're going to have rerolls. So hitting on 3s with rerolls is like 90% chance to hit. So like the -1 to hit gives them very little / no more survivability, I feel like. Yeah, and then we're lacking 3 damage weapons. We got a good number of CP, and in this list you could definitely take Quake Bolts. I think if you're going to run 3 squads of Blade Guard like this, one of the sergeants should have Quake Bolts. Because a single hit on his pistol is going to give you so much more damage, or so much more so many more hits in close combat. So I would run Quake Bolts here for sure. You've got a little bit of survivability increase in that we've got the Priest who can prevent some mortal wounds, and yeah, I mean the CP overall is fine. I think like a 8 or something. So a little bit of work to do with Brian's list, and I guess this was a pre-patch list, I guess. So some things have gone up in cost a little bit. I think his Primaris Captain's gone up 10 points. But if you're dead set on having durable units like this, I would get a squad of Terminators in there with some Thunderhammers. I would definitely try and get more 3 damage weapons in here. And maybe even try and replace the suppressors out with something, some decent fire support like Eliminators or Eradicators. And I'd try and get another Phobos unit in here. I feel a little bit like there may be an option for, like, the 2 company veterans probably don't do that much now. I guess they're just protecting the Priest. It's not a bad list, but I think it has some problems. And yeah, Quake Bolts would help it a lot. Maybe even if you're not, I was going to say, yeah, I think Quake Bolts would help a lot in one of those Blade Guard squads. There's an amazing story with a lone Sanguinary Guard left on a planet full of Tyranids. I just can't remember what book it was in. The single Sanguinary Guard makes the tabletop look like a baby. I don't think I've ever read that book, Jim, but thanks for pointing that out. Okay, that kind of draws this part of the show to a close, I think. Is there anything else I want to say about this list? I think more 3 damage weapons is the one thing that's going to hurt it the most. It's real sad. Like, it's just real sad that, like, the Primaris models get so little options. You know, like Blade Guard. If Blade Guard could take Thunderhammers, how cool would that be? Don't sleep on company veterans. If your characters are fighty and then you have fight last, then they will always punch first, so they can't be shot with a bodyguard. Yeah, I mean, company veterans can be useful. I ran them in a tournament this year, or last year, I guess. I just haven't run them much as of late. So yeah, I think that's gonna draw this stream to an end. So who's up next week? And then I'm going to talk for 5 minutes about what's happening tomorrow night on the channel. Next week we have Dirty Wizard, Rezio, and Brew and Biscuits. And the week after that, I haven't updated the folder yet. So that's what's happening next week. Cool. Give me 1 second here to log into Facebook. Hammer Guard meta. I don't know about give me 1 second. God, I hate Facebook sometimes. Alright, I'm gonna show you guys what's coming tomorrow night. So we're playing Death Guard, and Mortarion is back for the first time in a while, I think. Let me post up this list. It's been a while since I played Death Guard. Alright, what we got tomorrow? We have 14 CP, I guess he begins the list with. I guess Mortarion's giving him some CP, is he? Or is he plus 2 CP for Supreme Command Detachment? Okay, I have no idea. Mortarion, Miasma of Pestilence, Curse the Leper, Gift of Plagues, Gloat and Bloat. He is the Warlord, of course. It's an inexorable plague company. I'm going to have to Google inexorable. Is that the one where you get movement penalties? Inexorable. While an enemy is in contagion range, you can improve AP by -1. Yep. Use the stratagem in your opponent's charge phase. Until the end, subtract 2 from the charges. Okay, so I need to remember that he can -2 to charges. Okay, we've got a Biologist Putrefier, we have a Lord of Vigilance, we have a squad of Plague Marines. It's like 7? 2 10-man squads of Poxwalkers. This is like a 10-man squad of Blightlord Terminators. Ouch. Tollkeeper. The Dread Claw Drop Pod, I guess the Plague Marines will be inside that. And then 3 of those Mythic Blight Haulers. Those Mythic Blight Haulers I actually think are really good. They're one of the Death Guard units that didn't change much, right? And they've got like multi-meltas on them, and they've got missile launchers on them as well, I think. And then they're not bad in melee. They're like strength 6 -2, 2 damage. It's maybe actually even better than that. 9 wounds, 3 up save, 5 up invulnerable save. Oh yeah, each time a melee attack is against this unit, -1 from the hit roll. I forgot about that. Foul Stench. And they're equipped with a Bile Spurt, a missile, which is Assault D3 6 -1, a missile launcher, a multi-melta, and yeah, strength 6 -2. Oh, just 1 damage on the melee. But still. Do they have a fallback and shoot strat? Maybe that's how you beat them. You get them in combat, huh? I mean, they wouldn't be bad in Overwatch, though. Like, what would be 6 multi-melta shots, 3 crack missiles, and then a bunch of shots coming out from the Plague Spurt. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be playing against. So 10 Blight Lords, 3 Mythic Blight Haulers, a Drop Pod, a Tallyman. I'm not super familiar with all his characters, and I know that they need to die. He doesn't have the Foul Blight spawn, which is the one that makes me fight last, I noticed. That's the one to really notice. And I guess you're right, they don't have fallback and shoot, but they can just shoot in combat at -1 to hit. They don't get profiled as well because they're less than 10 wounds. No Plague Burst Crawlers though, so that's something. And then Mortarion. I'm not actually sure how my list is going to deal with Mortarion, so that's going to be fun. So my list tomorrow is going to be something different, something very different in fact. And this is what I'm calling the... Oh, it pasted it twice. Okay. This is what I'm going to call... They're not Black Templars. They're the Templars of Blood. But they are Black Templars, right? So, if you Google Templars of Blood, because I did have a look for a successor chapter name. So, Templars of Blood are a Loyalist Space Marine chapter, and they're a successor to the Blood Angels, but they're they're Black Templars in this situation. So we're playing Black Templars. This is going to be the first time I'm not playing Blood Angels in like 20 years. I don't think I've not played Blood Angels since like literally 2nd edition. So we've kept our chapter master on a bike. He has got Iron Resolve this time. I was going to say fuck if I remember what Master of Arms is. This list might be janky because it's the first Black Templars list I've ever made. Master of Arms, at the start of the fight phase, it can fight first, and he gets +1 to his attack. So it's basically Mephiston's Warlord trait, but better. That's what you get when you compare 8.5 edition codex to 9.5 edition codex. You get the exact same thing, but then you just get something else as well, right? So I guess he's going to get 1 more attack. That might not be the best Warlord trait for him, but we'll see. He is the heir of Sigmundsson, which believes he can take that second warlord trait, so Iron Resolve being the first one. And then he's got Tanasur's Bones, which is kind of awesome. And kind of, again, you know how difficult it is to kill the Bite Captain? Well, how about each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 1. So he's going to be pretty good against Mortarion, I'm guessing, in that Mortarion can only ever do 1 damage to him. And Black Templars basically have they have an Angel Sacrifice ability as well. It's just called something different, but it is essentially Angel Sacrifice. The only difference is it's going to cost 2 CP rather than 1, but it's the exact same. It's the exact same ability. It's not exactly the same. The wording is kind of different, but where is it? Yeah, it's this one. For the Emperor's Honor, use a stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Black Templar's character from your army and 1 character unit and 1 enemy character until the end of the phase. Each time that enemy character is selected to fight, if the selected Black Templar's character is within engagement range of that character unit, then your opponent is selecting targets for attack. Those attacks can only be that Black Templar's character. So it's essentially Heroic Sacrifice or Angel Sacrifice, and it's going to cost 2 CP, but you only ever take 1 damage. So Mortarion's weapon, I'm sure it's flat 3, or it's maybe even D3 plus 3. It's been a while since we fought Mortarion. Yeah, his main weapon is D3 plus 3. So we'll let him do all his attacks at D3 plus 3, and then we'll tell him that they only do 1 damage, right? I mean, he could do the Reaping Scythe. I guess that would be good against him. But we're not going to tell him that, of course, right? I'll tell him that after he allocates all his attacks. So, yeah, he can sweep instead, but we're not going to tell him that. We're not going to tell him that, DTM. Or we might just sacrifice our other character. We'll see. We'll see. I actually don't know how this list deals with Mortarion, but let's see. We got Chaplain in Terminator Armor. He has the Litany of Divine Protection, and this is a cool litany. It's basically a 5-up shrug against everything around him, which I like a lot. So just core characters get a 5-up shrug, and he also has the Palm of Remorseless Persecution. Each time a 6 is rolled in a melee attack, a target takes a mortal wound. So basically we can have the Chaplain deal like a survivability or do damage, and he's also got this Persecution, which is a D3 plus 3 flamer. Strength 5 minus 1, 2 damage. Oh no, sorry, Breath of the Throne, that's his flamer, because it upgrades the combi flamer. I have done my standard Assault Intercessors and Incursors. I've taken an Apothecary who's a Selfless Healer. I've taken Centurions because Centurions are awesome, and I've not been able to run them in my Blood Angels list for ages. I think the weakness of the Centurions... sorry, the 5+++ is a pick one, not an aura. That's fine. We'll just pick the big squad of Terminators I'm going to get to in a second. I didn't realise it was pick one, but that's fine. We'll pick our big squad of Terminators. I've not been able to run the Centurions for a while. They are awesome. I've upgraded the Centurions with the Crux Obsidian, which means the Centurion Sergeant is -1 damage. And I've also given him Champion of the Feast. So the Centurion Sergeant is basically a boss. Let me see if I can bring it up. Champion of the Feast means that he gets +1 attack, he gets +1 wounds, and he improves his weapon skill by 1. So the Centurion Sergeant basically has weapon skill 2, 5 attack space. He has that 3 damage fist or claw or whatever it's called. And he has -1 damage. So 5 wounds, -1 damage, 2 up, 5 up. Remember, my whole army's got protection against mortal wounds. The whole army's got a 5 up invulnerable save. And the whole army's got transhuman as well. So I can never be wounded on rolls of 2 or less. It's a drill. You could actually mastercraft the drill. I talked to the Highland Phoenix about this. We could pay 1 CP and mastercraft that drill to have a 4 damage drill. That would have been pretty fun into the Blightlord Terminators, I guess. and that every failed save would just be a dead Blight Lord. And obviously, yeah, we can revive him with the Apothecary. So the point is, like, Centurions have a weakness in Blood Angels in that they have no invulnerable save. Well, in Black Templars, they have an invulnerable save, and they have a transhuman, and the Sergeant can have -1 damage and 5 wounds. So we can allocate our damage and incoming around to basically really negate, I guess, a lot of the damage coming in. We then have the Terminator Assault Squad, and this time we've gone for, I think it's 7 Terminators, 4 with Thunderhammers and 3 with Lightning Claws. These guys are rocking the Holy Orb, and the Holy Orb gives them essentially some shooting. So the Holy Orb is going to let the Terminators, once per battle, in your shooting phase, you're going to select one enemy units within 6 inches. On a 2+, they take mortal wounds, and they fight last. So basically, like, if there is going to be some sort of big engagements around those Terminators, which I imagine there will be, then the Terminators once per game can basically, on a 2+, make some enemy fight last. So we have a fight last in this giant squad of Terminators, which will obviously be buffed from the Terminator Chaplain. We then have a large squad of Vanguard Veterans, Lightning Claws, and Thunderhammers, because I love them. And then we get 2 Land Raiders. A regular Land Raider, which will be carrying the Apothecary and the Centurions, and the Crusader, which will be carrying the 7 Terminators and the Terminator Chaplain. And, I mean, the Crusader's got a multi-meta on it as well. What's cool about the Black Templars and the Crusader is they have a stratagem where I can charge out of the Crusader after it's moved. I forget what that's called. Is this one. Deadly Cargo. Use the stratagem in your movement phase. Select 1 Black Templar's Land Raider Crusader model for your army that made a normal move this phase. Units embarked with this in transport can disembark in this phase, but cannot be selected to move again this phase. So I can't move after I disembark, but I can... I guess essentially what will happen is, in turn 1, the Crusader will move forward 10 inches. In turn 2, it will move forward another 10 inches. Then the Centurions will all disembark 3 inches out of it. So essentially, in turn 2, my Centurions are 23 inches up the board, and they're going to make a charge on something, and they're going to kill everything that they charge into. That's how it works with Centurions. Does it tilt us that Templars aren't even a first founding under the best of us? Yeah, Joe, I made a photo the other day, like a private photo in one of the groups where, like, I was generally, I don't know, I was generally upset that I had to buy another codex and run my army as another chapter, because when you read their book, the only way I can say it is Blood Angels Codex is a 8.5 codex. It's not a 9th edition codex. The Black Templar Codex is 100% a 9th edition codex. They basically get everything that we get. Everything cool that we had, like Angel Sacrifice, they've got it in some sort of other way. Charging out of a Crusader is just awesome. Being able to upgrade each individual model within your squads with so much more customization is awesome. I mean, I could have had that Centurion Sergeant have like 5 wounds, -1 damage, 2 up save, 5 up invulnerable save, a 4 damage fist, and we can resurrect him because he's in a little cool squad. Like, it's actually kind of ridiculous how good some of their stuff is. I don't know if I'm going to play them right. I'm probably going to forget a bunch of stratagems, but when I was reading through the book, and I've only had the book about a week, and I've only read through it like once, because I'm still doing Blood Angels content on the channel all the time. I'm just playing Black Templars I'm playing them this one time to see if I feel like they're a shitload better, and if they're a shitload better, when it comes to the next GT that I'm going to, I'm probably going to run them if they're a shitload better. It makes me feel sad, but at the same time, like, I really want to win a GT this year, and I think, like, to do that as Blood Angels, you literally are tying one of your hands behind your back, because there's just too many things that counter Red Thirst, and probably we're just not that survivable at the moment. Deploying out of a Land Raider and getting stuck in is something absolutely we should be able to do. You're 100% right, James. Black Templars should be in the Imperial Fist supplement. Yeah, I don't know why they've got their own book, but that's the way it is. Yeah, I actually probably think this list is probably not going to do that well, especially into Mortarion, so it'll be a good test. I mean, the thing about Black Templars is I've got 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Redemptor Dreadnoughts are brilliant for Black Templars, right? That's why they put the points costs on them. That's why they put the points cost up 10, because they were so good in Black Templars, and Black Templars were getting a really high win rate with Redemptors. But I think Centurions are brilliant in Black... I guess anything that is strong, that lacks an invulnerable save, Land Raiders, Centurions, Redemptors, even to a certain extent like our troops, like Incursors, these things are all brilliant as Black Templars. And, having read the Black Templars book and seeing just how fun and strong it is, Eradicators as well, says DTM, yeah. I mean, I may end up running some form of this at a tournament. I just thought it'd be very fun to have 2 Land Raiders full of really nasty things. And I've had these Land Raiders forever. So, my thoughts after reading the Black Templars book is, and some of you guys are probably going to hate me for saying this, but I think I'm going to do it regardless. When the White Scars get their 9th edition book, I'm probably going to buy it, and I'll probably make a video on it. Like, if you are struggling with Blood Angels, is it worth just proxying them as White Scars? Because if the White Scars book is as strong as the Black Templars book, then they're basically like, they have all the White Scars are like so similar to us, right? Like, they have all about doing damage, all about charging in. They have advanced in charge. Who knows what they're all going to get? And like, I haven't had to buy a single model for this Black Templars list, right? Like, everything that... I mean, I could have bought the special characters, but the problem with the special characters, the way I see it, is they're all Primaris. So you can't even put them in transports if you wanted to. Like, I wanted to put things in transports and Land Raiders and stuff. So there's no... All the new characters for Black Templars are Primaris. So the only thing that they're going in is like an Impulsor or a Repulsor, and those... I think those are still trash even for Black Templars. But yeah, I mean, Impulsors may be a little bit better because you don't have to pay for the Shield Dome, right? Mephisto says, hey, finally nice to make a stream. I've been hobbying since the 2nd edition, but I've only ever played a game or 2. These videos are super handy and I'm looking forward to playing a game. Welcome, Mephisto. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Halbrecht is busted. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how you deliver Halbrecht because he's 6-inch movement, right? I don't mind them being their own book, I just hate that 5++ vow. It seems so overtuned comparatively to everything else. Should have been 6++ like the Sisters' Faith Save. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, DTM. The fact that the whole army has Transhuman, and the whole army has a 5++, and then the whole army has a 5++ against Psychic, and there's a stratagem that they can... you don't even need to take a Psyker, so I can deny Psychic tests on a 4-up for 1 CP. So, yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of fun with Black Templars. I hope some of you guys will tune in tomorrow night to see the game, and maybe you guys can, maybe if you guys are familiar with Black Templars, you can keep me right. It should be a fun game nonetheless. Death Guard against Black Templars, live tomorrow at 7:30, so pretty much precisely 4 hours earlier than it is right now. Thank you for watching tonight, guys. I do appreciate you sticking around and watching and all the likes and stuff. And I think rather than get frustrated, because I think it has been frustrating, and I think it probably, when we see this balance slate this week, I think it probably will be frustrating again. I'm not expecting any changes to Blood Angels, even though we have a 35% win rate at competitive play right now, which is really bad. I mean, that's why I picked up the Black Templar book. They're at a 49% win rate. So, who knows? But I mean, essentially, Marines are Marines. So if it gets to a point where, like... the Codex creep is nuts at the moment. I don't even know what they're doing, right? Like, they're literally just making every new Codex 20% stronger than the last one. So, like... maybe the way we fight that is that every time a new codex comes out, like for example, White Scars, which are a chapter that's all about charging combat and stuff like that. Maybe without buying any models, we just make some White Scars lists, and yeah, I don't know. The codex creep is frustrating. I've tried to make some videos on it. I'm not happy about it. I would love it. I know that it's hard to balance a game this big, but I just don't think they're trying enough. Like, you know, I made videos like months ago now, 6 months ago now, saying like, yeah, the Ball Predator's trash, right? Like, you know, the regular Predator's trash. Here's the Predator versus the Plague Burst Crawler. Look at how much better the Plague Burst Crawler is. And then what did they do? They knocked like 10 points off the Plague Burst Crawler and just left our Predator like absolutely trash. And yeah, I get that they don't want to balance every model against every model, but like, if you turn up to a game with 3 Predators, like Predator Annihilators, you'd finish dead bottom in the tournament. Like, they're literally terrible. The balance on them is terrible. It's been terrible for like 18 months. Like, why does no one care? You know, like, I don't know. I'm at a loss. So, I understand that some people want to see me play Black Templars. I totally get that. In some ways, I don't even know if I want to play them. But I'm sick of having to deploy my forces so defensively in every single game and still losing the games against all these new codexes. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, it's kind of like, it'd be like going to play chess and just be like, right, you've got no pawns. You're like, but I need pawns because otherwise I lose the game. And it's like, well, tough shit, you've got no pawns. They didn't even bother to suggest a Baal variant of the Gladiator Reapers. Why? Games Workshop. And I mean, that DTM makes a good point. You know, like, a Gladiator Reaper is kind of a crap tank. You know, we don't really see them in the meta. But then if you've got them in like Black Templars, where they've got a 5-up invulnerable save and they've got a transhuman, then is it crap anymore? You know, like, at that point, you've just added like a bunch of survivability, or a bunch of, yeah, you've just added like 30 or 40% survivability to the vehicle. So, B. Henry says, take Black Templars to victory. I appreciate that. I mean, I am loyal to the faction, and I'm not a meta chaser. Like, I'm not buying Harlequins, I'm not buying Custodes, I'm not chasing the meta. But if there's a book that's like, all my models will work with this book as it is, and it's just crazy how much stronger it is, then it's worth a try, I guess. So anyway, a good blabber all night. I will catch you guys tomorrow night. Hopefully we'll see some of you there. If you have any suggestions for videos you want for Blood Angels, you can just drop them in the comments of any of my videos. I'll pick them up and find them. I'm still making Blood Angels content primarily. That is what this is all about. But alright, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And then I think this week, I'm painting on Thursday. I think probably the painting competition results on Saturday, and that's what's happening. B. Henry says the Sons of John, a successor chapter of the Black Templars. Their colors are red and gold. Go for it. Yeah, well, the models are definitely going to be red or gold. By the blood are we made strong came from the Codex. It also was said by Seth, I believe, in the Devastation of Baal book, Mephiston. I think that's where I got that from. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. I play against players that are desperate to win and try and build the strongest lists, and if you don't have a Codex to fight it, it can be quite frustrating. So, alright, see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Thanks again for watching. Talk to you soon.